For my last birthday, don't ask, my kids bought me Spotify. I didn't know what Spotify was. Oh, I've heard of it, but then I've heard of most things, so there was an awareness, but not really an understanding. Actually, that's a lot like my life. I'm aware of it, but I don't really understand it. I seem to be perpetually bemused by the world and my place in it. Oh, I cover that up by sticking to the plan. I follow the roadmap, which goes school, university, job, boyfriend, another boyfriend. We need something to compare the first one to. Third boyfriend, who becomes fiancé, which is such a misleadingly glamorous word. Husband, baby, motherhood, baby 2, never as many photos as baby 1, parent stuff, more parent stuff, and then, surprisingly quickly, babies leave home. Now what? Oh, back there, somewhere, there was a career in something, but I don't know what's happened to that. Gone, perhaps. Slipped down the back of the sofa, perhaps. Sofas work like that, don't they? I found a condom wrapper down the back of the one in the living room when I was tidying up once. That's the moment you realise your babies have grown up, when they're stopping having babies of their own. Had a glass of wine that night. Or 2, perhaps 3. Okay, look, none of all this is very original. And that's fine by me, because I did it all in a state of bemusement. All being my life. I don't normally swear, but I will here, for dramatic effect. Turns out that for most of my life, I had no idea what the fuck was going on. So, given that, a plan was very useful, something to stick to, something to get stuck into, maybe something to get stuck with. But the best thing about it was, I didn't have to think. I didn't have to make that many decisions, which, if I'm honest, said honest twice, you might have to edit that. It was such a relief. Not having to decide. You should see me in a restaurant with a menu. Total disaster. So if we do go out for a meal, I like to go for a curry. Chicken korma, pilau rice, 2 poppadom, mango chutney, small glass of cobra beer. Oh, I know there are other dishes on the menu, and I do start reading them as if I'm considering the other options. But very quickly, my husband, forget his name, his job involves a lot of travelling. We've got a big garden and he's got a shed. My husband says, chicken korma, pilau rice. And I say, oh, that sounds nice. Because it does sound nice. And I like it. Last few times we've been out for a meal as a family, it was the kids who said, chicken korma, pilau rice. Part of me was glad when they left home. To be honest, 3 times. Why do trains of thought keep making the same stops? Don't know. Move on. Nothing to see here. To be honest, 4. Who's counting? I'd kind of grown a bit bored of the children. Oh, love? Yes, always love. But just a little bit of boredom. And I'd long since realised that while I used to be central to their lives, I was now peripheral to their lives. I was something on the edges. So why, quite frankly, were they still at home? And then they left home. And I missed them more than you can imagine. Who knew? So, for my last birthday, they both came home. And they take me and my husband, Michael, that's his name, Michael, out for a curry. And they both paid for the meal. And they bought me Spotify, which I'm aware of, but I don't understand. So my son, who has inherited his father's habit of explaining things to me, explains what Spotify is. During the discourse, I tune out. I think it's when he starts mentioning suggested playlists and algorithms. So my daughter, who is a woman and has a low bullshit threshold and sees her brother as a roadmap to be avoided, sees my eyes glaze over and simplifies everything. Mum, you type in a song or a singer or a band and it plays it or them. It's music on demand. It's like a jukebox with everything on it. Oh, I said, I think I might like that. You see, way back when I was a kid, before the plan, before I was engulfed with the bemusement, I was really into music. I mean, really into music. I mean, Top of the Pops every Thursday, NME every week, even John Peel on the radio late into the self-reflective hours of teenage ennui. I know I don't look like a Fool fan now, but back then I was. But I was also a Top of the Pops fan. And that's quite a hard look to pull off, Mark E. Smith and Kid Jensen, but I did. The outsider music was, I think, an external expression of the internal angst I was going through as a teenager. Psychology. That's it. That's what my career was in. Funny that. How did that slip my mind? Maybe it's not just trauma we try and bury. Top of the Pops. I blame the rubettes, the floppy hats, and that high, piercing note that they hit at the start of Sugar Baby Love. Anyway, I go home. I do nothing with Spotify for a month, and then I think, I better try it out because the kids are coming back for some lamb on Easter Sunday and they're bound to ask how I've got on with it. And I love it. It is like a jukebox with everything on it. Everything. Even obscure things that you've never heard of before. Oh, like there's a 6-minute, 11-second version of the Fool's glorious Solicitor in the Studio from the Prince of Wales Hotel, Melbourne, Australia, recorded live July the 2nd, 1982. Who knew? And then there's the rubettes. And that's just magnificent. You can get whatever you want, whenever you want it. And that, in the end, is my problem with Spotify. Oh, I'll go on using it. Silly not to, and it's paid for. But my problem with it is, you can get whatever you want, whenever you want it. Top of the Pops, you had to wait for and you never knew what would be on. I think there's much more in that than in getting whatever you want, whenever you want it.